Alright guys, Supreme Kami here. So the time that I was not able to record, we have a new unit here. We got the S Gundam booster unit. So obviously I'm gonna be doing the review for this one now. And in terms of this overall unit, I don't know if I really like it or not, just because what is really different is like the leg part having that booster unit. So I'm not really bound by that. So in terms of the overall stat, this one is quite balanced. So let me show you guys this one over here. So this is pretty much like you can say like a work, like a work in progress in a sense over here. So this one right here, this column is all gonna be for your melee stats. So it's actually not bad. I would definitely give it that. And this one here is gonna be all your shot stuff. So melee attack plus 40% of your melee change gear. So that's what we get. And then this one is shot attack plus what is it, 40% of your shot defense over here. So this is what we came up with. So that's not bad. This one does have that really balanced, in a sense of, balanced type stat in a way. But keep that in mind, in terms of these right here, you won't be getting that on a perfect scenario, because what I'm doing, I'm using one of the 40% gear. So in a perfect scenario, you cannot do that. So this is more or less like what you can see, but it's not going to be applicable in in a regular sense here. But let's talk about this overall unit. So we got 3 EX skill and then 5 or 4 parts with four parts right here. So let's actually dive in. So head part, obviously right off the bat, not really found about it already, because in terms of the head part, this one being a shot, a little bit definitely in terms of war tag, a little bit leaning towards that, shot type over here. I'm not really you guys already know me. I don't really like having a wicked EXQ, so yeah, this one is bad. But this one, on the flip side, it does have a instantly cooldown by 33%, so that's good. I think this is probably the only awakening that has it currently. Some other one is via, let's say, activating like the EXQ, then you have it. This one would be good, but in terms of the activation animation for the awakening skills here, they take a good second or two longer than regular EXU. So in that sense, it's not going to be good for, let's say, for arena. In any other practical sense, it's not going to be good either, because people may either have like a 100% cooldown reduction type build, so that pretty much defeats the purpose of that their effects there. But other than that, if you guys are not running like a full-on 100% cooldown reduction type build, this one can still be effective, because whatever you have left for your reload, for say, or your reduction, you can use this one and then immediately proctor it. So it could be good, but this one is just a very situational thing, which I don't really take into consideration at all. So in terms of overall stat, this is what we fall under. Not too bad, but not the best. No alternative attribute and no base scale, so these are going to be two factors that you might have to look into. But on the flip side, you do have a lot of big skills already, so you can definitely subset that to anything that comes with, let's say, exclusive and then high firepower, which I feel like we have a lot. Moving over to probably, if not the best piece of the S Gundam booster unit. So we got the torso here, so we got a double, not really double, but we do have a 50% plus a 40% damage. So this one is actually quite good. This one, remember how I showed you guys that the stat was somewhat pretty good over here, but in terms of practicality, let's take a look at the portrait. So when Ace is up, hello, yeah, so you can't, right out the bat, you cannot use it on a melee build. So yeah, so I don't know, man. So in terms of the dual stat right here, it's not really gonna be applicable, because this one is 100% of the time more or less gonna be using on a shot based build. But in terms of the portrait, this one is quite powerful, because we do have the double damage trait with there. So you guys already know these three are just kind of busted and coincide with some of our regular power boosting trait already. And this one, honestly, not really much to talk about besides all these parts. If you guys have not seen already, does pack some pretty crazy damage or defense right there, defensive stat. So that's why, or melee defensive stat. So that's why you guys can see that it's on par in a sense. But shot defense is like pretty much gone. You don't see it at all. But other than that, this one I would definitely say is probably one of the better torso we can find in today's market in a way. So definitely, if you guys are able to put a torso, or you guys even summon it on, torso is going to be the best part to be targeting. All right, so in terms of the arm, so the arm does have some pretty crazy stats. So melee department is definitely a bonker, so cannot deny about that. But I'll say, even though it does have some monstrous melee defense, but the raw melee attack seems a little bit low to me, right? Some things that we have seen lately. Let's go back to last week, or is it last week? I think so. Last week, when we had got this Saber, look at that 16,000, but they give it like a pretty bad defensive line. I'd rather take this over this here, because this one here, 40% of 10,000 is roughly about what, 6k? Is that 6k? I think so, right? I could be mistaken, but yeah, that's not really, no, that should be 40%, 4k. There you go. I'm like, what? Yeah, 4k. So only 4,000 off that is not really that good because of that base over there is kind of low, right? So, but in terms of the shot, looking at it from the shot aspect of it, it's actually not that bad. It's gonna be hovering around this general vicinity, which is not too bad. Work type wise on this one is not gonna have exclusive, which that's why this one is a very good for dual type building, because you do have, let's say, higher mobility as well. In terms of the overall parts right here, you do have some initial charge boosted by 25%, so that's always going to be good. So this one, I would say, is pretty much going to be a preference based whether or not you want to use this one if you guys are able to put it, or you want to say use the SHB Horus Gundam arm, because this one and the Horus is pretty much doing the same thing. It does offer you that buff EX2 effects, while in terms of the Horus, instead of having an initial charge, that one has a 40% power boosting. I think it's EXQ, yeah, EXQ power boosting. So it's either you have something on a different part trait, per se, like let's say on your head part, a ranged weapon or melee weapon, for example, then you can use the heart rate. But if you guys are lacking, let's say you guys do not even have any initial charge boosting, then this combo over here will be a very good fit. So that's why it's going to be more or less going to be a preferable choices over here. Either one is good. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about this one, but overall pretty good. Definitely Power Crab has made this one slightly better in terms of the overall stat department, maybe, but Haru is still very good to this day, and I believe they both have the same vortex. So just a little bit more of like more options out here, but definitely not either or is still good. Neither or is better than the other. So just want to make that clear. All right, so moving over to the leg, let's see what we have. Scrolling up top, so in terms of where this one plays, it's not going to be too good. It's going to fall a little bit below some of your other older parts here, but in terms of over here, we do have EXQ, we have the high speed maneuver. So this one is this one like a custom EXQ? I don't know. I didn't really see the Twitter animation, like the EXQ animation, so can't quite tell you yet, but this one seems pretty strong. No additional effects coming off of like what seems to be like a custom EXQ kind of platform, or like kind of like what it would be having, 79 seconds for the cooldown and then 20 seconds for that first time user. So that's kind of odd that they're not offering any additional effects, which kind of sucks. In terms of this one, what about how does the stat doing? Yeah, gonna continue the trend of having some pretty ridiculous melee defense, so that's kind of crazy. In terms of warfare wise, high mobility and then high firepower, so not really much to talk about this one. In terms of shot based build, it's still going to be performing very well, but in terms of the melee, I'm not gonna say it's that top notch. Is it? Oh, it's actually a little bit better, because right here at 9,400 buffs. Okay, yeah, that 40% off that 10,000 does kind of make a little bit of a difference in a way. That is if you have that 4-star version of the change gear, but if not, 30%, 20%, they're not gonna make like a very outstanding impression in a way. Only at 40% you would see like, oh my gosh, like 10,000 off for 40%, crazy, right? But other than that, this one is simply just gonna be for that stat staking. I don't think there's anything much to talk about that. All right, so moving over to the back part, how's the back doing? Okay. Back part wise is performing fairly well in terms of the stat department. It is holding up pretty good. I would like this one to be a little bit higher, just because this one is newly available, so I would expect this one in terms of stat wise to sustain a little bit longer in the leaderboard. But this one have mobility, and then this gives you high firepower, and then ace exclusive. So back to your regular shop base build tag there. In terms of this backpack itself, is not the original S Gundam backpack that we have seen before. This one is actually the same one as we have seen from the EXS. So I don't know why would they have this backpack over the other one. But this one right here does have a back beam cannon, A plus pierce, and then B plus power. So pretty much gonna be the same EXQ animation if I recall. I think so from the EXS, the original attribute, the T attribute. So you're not gonna see anything crazy. This one is a fairly simple EXQ. So yeah. So I don't really have much to talk about that one. It's just, pretty much gonna be your stat. If you guys do want to put a stat, definitely go for it. EX wise, I don't even think I think you would have to alter it because prior to alteration, you should not be sitting at like a B plus power. If I want to guess, probably correct as well, just by looking at those specific scenario. A piercing and then B power after alteration. So prior to alteration should be like a D power range. So definitely the alteration will make it better. But alright, moving over to the beam saber. So stat wise on this one, pretty bonkers again. Moving over here. But since we are looking at this at the shot perspective, so we are gonna be ignoring all the melee stuff. So in terms of the melee, it's still gonna perform fairly well. In terms of the portrait wise here, this one, yes, this one you can use it in both build because this one does not really care too much about, let's say, any restrictions to shot or melee only. So that's that. But what I have found in common about this S Gundam's booster unit over here, all those portrait has like a time gated to either 30 seconds or 60 seconds. So I guess that's a little bit more coincide to the booster unit fizzling out maybe. But other than that, this one is something we have seen numerous times before already. So not gonna be any of the hot takes. So this one, if you guys do need something of this caliber, or if you guys have better stuff, then this one definitely go for it. This one is a very generic, offer you that energy charge and then offer you that EX2 power. So not really much to talk about except maybe the timer wise. I don't know if you guys can finish like a match within the 1 minute mark. If possible, that's good, but other than that, we definitely have some better options, so definitely a part to skip. All right, and last but not least, we have the beam smart gun. So this one right here is doing actually pretty good. I'll definitely give it that. But last week when we got the Saber, we have something better already. So let's take a look at the stat wise over here. No shot defense is purely gonna be one pumping that 117,000. So that's good. Almost breaking that 18k. So that's very impressive on itself already. Portrait wise over here, we do have a before 30 seconds elapsed, all power boosted by 50%. So that's pretty good. And then in terms of the secondary conditions, so your unit or your overall unit itself, gunpla, whatever, it's gonna be taking 20% more damage. So it's just shot. It's not gonna be for all. And in terms of the the effects itself, it's gonna be you're gonna be doing the enemy all power plus 50%. But in terms of what we have last week, or is it last week? I think it's either last week or 2 weeks ago. We got this one here. Yeah, this one I would definitely say is 10 times better, even though the percentage is not as high. I kind of get this, but in terms of what this one is doing, this one is offering a all enemy. So your overall squad, your multi-mission squad, they are getting that as well. So they're both long rifle categories, so that's why I do want to address that. This one up to 100% in value is good. But this one is only for your general purposes, all power, like the power boosting factor. But this one is only 150, so just a singular 50%. So I'll definitely take the Sasabi range weapon over this one, just because this one is not as bad. But I feel like we just have better stuff out there. Despite the fact that this one carries out all the highest possible percentage to the day. But yeah, this gotta be this right here. This kind of ruins it. And then what else ruins it? I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, other than that, in terms of the S Gundam the booster over here, it's not gonna be anything too spectacular. I think most of the portrait that we have seen already, except for the torso, that is pretty good. Just stepping it up, because all the other parts that we have gotten. As far as the slide parts goes, we have those kind of covered already. So this one I'll definitely say does come out on a very bad timing because we have a lot of goodies already. But do let me know how many of you guys have summoned on the S Gundam booster unit over here. But with that said, I'll be catching you all on the next one.